Hey y'all, it is your girl Alex, and we are coming tonight talking about all things rights federally, how all of this works. Um, y'all, this is really important, and I hope you found me from various means. I hope this is being seen far and wide because, y'all, what we are doing right now is we are actively coming together. We are convening, we are working together, and I want to show you tonight how to legally handle this situation, how to go about it because you do have federally protected rights. But in order to be successful, should you have to take it to the point of a lawsuit, I want to make sure y'all are adequately equipped to handle this. And this is federal. We're going on a federal basis. We're not even doing state or local simply because federal covers everything. So if y'all are in Georgetown, Texas, Williamson County, our superintendent is absolutely on notice. Our superintendent, our board of trustees, my children's school staff, their transportation, everyone right now is on notice. And so all the links, y'all, all the links I'm talking about, they are in the description. If you are watching on YouTube, there's like a little drop down. And I mean, I got links aplenty for y'all, seriously. Go in and find all the different things. I try to put it as to like what topic it's related to, and you can go in because I have things in there like research journals. Okay, research, there's a variety of them, but they range from 2004 to 2017. They're performed all around the world, and actually what these researchers were looking for were more effective ways to keep healthcare practitioners healthy during the flu and cold season. All right, so they tested a variety of the surgical and the N95 masks, and they found various studies, showed that these don't work. So there's topic number one. And again, all of this is in the description. I have information in there from John Hopkins that was talking about the death numbers, right? People are so scared about this is going to kill everybody. Well, hold on. Did you know, and in this John Hopkins, right? Did you know that actually our numbers per year, as far as like annual deaths, they're actually on par with normal things. It's just everything was being switched from COVID. And this particular article focused on the elderly age group. I believe it's 65 and older, but the article is in there. Please read this. Then there is, let's see, I got so many things. So, all of this stuff, should you have to get to that point, and we're going to talk about all these like the strategy tactics that should hopefully help you, right? Help y'all get into where you don't have to get to this. But there's, like I said, there's this process that we have to go through to get to this point, because if you have to go to court, I am setting you up to have a foolproof case should you have to do this. Praying, that you don't, but there's a strategy to this, okay, y'all? And if y'all have never heard of, it's called, well, here in Texas, it's called BIFF, BIFF, Brief, Informative, Factual, Friendly. It is I think it's amazing. I was turned on to it years ago, and it was really good about how to communicate with difficult people in a brief, informative, factual, and friendly way, because that will also be your aid you use in the lawsuit should it come to that. Hoping it doesn't, but again, we're stair stepping, right? Also, after we get through this strategy, y'all, I have the links in here because I know I literally didn't even know about like these unmasking groups, which is super awesome, until someone actually mentioned it to me. And they sent me an invite to one of my local ones. And then I was like, oh, heck. And I started just searching on YouTube or Facebook, all the unmasking groups. So hopefully you're finding me from various states or, around the country in America, because this information needs to get out. I didn't even know about some of these federal rights we have until recently. And I was just like, seriously? It's insane, y'all. It's insane. And so that's why we wanted to organize and get all of this put together. So there's different ways you can find the different groups in your local area. There was a notification I caught on one of them that said, of course, Facebook is shadow banning them and making it so they're harder to find. Telegram, I don't know if any of y'all are on it. I'm on it, and there's been a lot of patriots who have been on it. They haven't been canceled or turned off or anything. Telegram seems to be pretty safe. Knock on whatever your good luck charm that it stays that way. What I did do was I created a Telegram group. It's called Parents Fighting Back. It's the link is in here in the description, y'all, wherever you're watching it from. And that is literally meant to start conglomerating people so that we can start and to, jump on, say, hey, I'm from what city, state, and county, because then there's search tabs you can actually go into and you can find the people, right? And start coming together, because your numbers, whether it's your ISD, whether it's your specific school, whatever it is, right? When y'all are coming together in numbers, this is going to be key to organizing your community, right? Start getting to know your neighbors more. I know, speaking for me, I'm so busy. I just family, my focus has been like, living, right? And I never once thought I would be in this position or like really even care that much about the school board and what they're doing, because I assumed everybody involved in my community, because I live in Georgetown, Texas, in my opinion, the greatest city ever. Why would anyone mess with my kids? Of course they share the same ideals. Of course they wouldn't be bought off like I wouldn't. Of course, right? We all get into that assumption. At least I know I did, speaking for me here. And if you, feel the same way, you're not alone. But now we're having to step into these things and really fill these roles and come together even more. And y'all, I guess I kind of look at it as like a blessing in disguise, because you know what? How beautiful is that? That not only are we coming together as a community, we're building that fortitude. So, we have a border crisis going on right now. A lot of stuff's going on here in Texas. And not going to go on a tirade about that because I could seriously talk all day. But there's a lot of things might start popping off before things change, where we're going to, not just in our school boards, but it's going to be our safety. There was an executive order that is being pushed right now to confiscate what my handgun and what my shotgun would be. They're in the 200 that the bill contains. They're defense. So this is going to be even more vital that we get to know each other on a more kind of deeper level. Like if, it goes, things hit the fan, do we have anybody in our immediate communities that we can start actually communicating with? Are we getting each other's phone numbers? Are we starting to figure out, what's safe and where's not? Constitutional sheriffs. Do you know anything about your sheriffs? Because I really hope you do. Because as, fragmented as that may seem, it all comes back into this collective whole. All of these little pieces coming in, right, to this collective whole. And so if yeah, Georgetown, amazing. I love it. Yeah, see, and we're finding people, and it's so beautiful. I love it. Sorry, I have a really bad tendency to scroll off. Promise I will stay on task. And so coming together, right? We're coming together. We are being able to organize, because when you guys are implementing this strategy, your numbers going to the school board meetings, do you know the next time your school board of trustees or their meetings, whatever the wording it is, do you know the next time they're supposed to be meeting? Do you know if they're meeting in person? Do you know what if they're going to fight you on the muzzle mandate? Because I will absolutely get into that. And I have a lot of different information, y'all. Like, we're going to be going through. I want to make this factual but quick, so it's not taking up everyone's times. Again, every link that I'm going to be talking about is in the description from wherever you're viewing. If you're on Facebook, I think you have to wait until the live ends, and then you can go back, and it's a ton of links, y'all, because this information needs to get out. Okay, so coming together in your communities, right, however that looks. Okay, when you know your school board meeting, I want y'all to show up with this stuff. So in the description, there is, I don't think I pulled it up. That's okay. In the description, there are a ton of those research journals, right? Go through them, start highlighting bits of information, print them out if you feel so inclined, and take this information with you, because science is key. And that is what basically, my kids go to Williams Elementary in Georgetown, Texas, okay? I talked to the principal on Friday. That was when they got put on notice, right? They are all, boom, on notice. Absolutely. Why? Because the superintendent and the board of trustees gave me no response. You couldn't give me a date of when the mask mandate would be removed. You cannot give me any numbers of targets of where we're going to get to. If you're in my ISD, you probably read his statement he released on the 5th of March. And if you look into the language, y'all, that's going to be another key, because this will help kind of give you a little bit of insight on how to manage this, because how a person responds will give you key insight into what is likely their current thought process and their game plan. Are they going to avoid you? Are they going to be straight up with you? Are they going to take the time to hear you out and have a conversation? What is going on? Because that will also determine how tough you get. This principal, both times she has had a phone conversation with me. Both times we had a good, constructive, logical communication where we both met in the middle and gave in a little. We negotiated. Even though I'm not going to lie, like when the first compromise, I guess you could say, I immediately was like, no, absolutely not. Nope, not budging. And the more we talked, I was like, okay, because I started thinking, I'm like, for this lawsuit, you've got an extra basically week because my kids are not going to be muzzled. Okay. But she made an agreement with me that they could be set to the side. And I said, okay. And that's to give him another week because they're off the last 2 days. They got 3 days of school. Okay. I will give you that. And I told her, I said, my concern is he's going to just keep ignoring me. They're going to keep ignoring me. And then what? After what point of time do you say enough is enough? At what point in time do you put them on notice? At what point in time and what interaction? Sorry, I know my baby is super angry. He's throwing a fit right. He's 2. He's throwing a fit right now, y'all. Like I think all of these people who are like so fixated masks work and you should just be, I got told how selfish I was for educating people on their rights. And I'm just like, all I could picture is like a defiant little 3-year-old screaming and tantruming because he's not getting what he wants. Can they prove to you that this works? Because that's what I asked repeatedly. And that's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do the same, right? The type of wording is I said, okay, please help me understand. This was my first email a couple weeks ago, right after that statement came out. And I said, okay, please help me understand how you got to this conclusion that this muzzle mandate is still a good idea. It's logical, scientifically backed, healthy, safe for our children to remain muzzled. Please provide me information because maybe I am missing something. Maybe there's more to this puzzle or, that I'm not seeing. So please, I would like to encourage you to enlighten me on your reasoning, your science-backed reasoning, okay, keywords, things to make sure you're including. Although to each his own, if you use the word muzzle, I will get into it more relating to the psychology of it and why I call it a muzzle. So, but to each his own. But again, that comes into that friendly aspect. I still just don't give a fuck. Sorry, I don't mean to curse, but it's just like, they are trampling on my children's rights. My children are PTing, their physical training in elementary school, they're fucking muzzled. Do you know what the lining is? The ethyl oxide, it's a carcinogenic lined in those muzzles, the surgical ones? A carcinogenic that my child is breathing in on the constant and while they're doing physical exercise. And y'all say that's safe and logical. Okay, no, it's actually not. Did you know it's actually causing micro traumas? And these poor babies, y'all, and like society, humanity is going to have to be like healed truly from this last year. And I say that because if you're watching this, what I want y'all to do, put your hand over your mouth. Okay, put your hand over your mouth. And as you're making the motion to put your hand over your mouth, try to say something and then check in with how you feel. So as you're going to say something, check in with how you feel. Do you feel just like defeated somehow? Do you feel kind of negative somehow? Right? And that's just putting your hand over your mouth. What about having an external source that is around you? Do you know that a trauma is considered some sort of negative event that has an active and has a significant impact in your processing, your behavioral patterns, to where you alter your behavioral patterns in a response, a defense mechanism to that event? Do you know that you guys, not you guys, but that they are the psychological issues that our developing babies are having to deal with is just, it blows my mind. It truly does. And that's why I stutter, because it's just like, man, where do I even start? How deep do I want to go? And I want to keep this pretty brief, so I don't want to go super deep, but just the way that the neurons build. I mean, when I coach clients, we talk about small baby steps, right, to achieve the ultimate end goal. But what if your small baby steps are all of these, don't talk, don't. My daughter was telling me that her art teacher is always up her butt and that she felt shame. My 10-year-old felt shame because she said, Mom, I can't breathe in these masks. And I looked at her and I said, I know, baby, that's why you should have the right to determine what is right for your body. And should you choose that a mask is not right, baby, that's my job to help you fight for you to have a voice, for you to be able to say, this isn't good. I reject that because you can't prove it's scientifically safe. You can't prove it's actually healthy. And yes, I do have in the description the National Institute of Health 2008, August 2008 article by Fauci, and how he actually was going into the bacterial aspects of the muzzles and everything else, and like how all these coverings actually brought on the bacterial pneumonia and all these things, right? What started to tip me off when all of this went down, I was ignorant. I didn't know. And I was like, oh, okay, it's like a respirator, right? You know, okay, not really thinking. And then when like the muzzle mandate came out, I was like, okay, how are we going to do this, right? How are we going to be able to, figure out what is the right fit? Like what's with like I'm thinking of like the respirators and like, I was going to say, what's the color of the respirator and stuff. If you've used anything where it's just like serious toxins and everything, you've got your full face respirator, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's just, okay, layers and protections and stuff. And I couldn't find anything on it. None of it made sense. And I had to ask myself, Alex, does this make sense about the masks and what you're supposed to do? But it's this deadly viral contagion. Okay, but you can't find anything that states what level of protection anything is at so I can properly buy and protect my family. And y'all, that's something I want to encourage you and for you to teach your babies how to ask that one question. Does this make sense? Well, I don't know. The more I started looking into it, because that's when I was like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. Let me understand more. Let me dig more. Let me find out what exactly would make sense to be able to protect my family, right? And the more I dug, the more I found that they are actually not safe. They don't work. All of this is what we're going to be talking about today, right? So that's where these federal protection rights come in. And we're going to, let me see. So we've got this one. I don't remember which link is what. I'm sorry, y'all. My baby is super angry. He is throwing a fit, like super duper angry. Okay, so this particular one, the documents, and yes, my mom is out there with him. So I promise there's an adult. He's not just like off by himself. He's just really mad about something. Okay. So going into the different things. So specifically when you're dealing with a school, okay, that's where you go into, you start with the initial letter. I'm trying to understand more. Please provide me with information that details how you came to this decision, where your science is, right? Ask for constructive feedback, because can the CDC even provide that there's evidence where the mandate is actually like scientifically proven to work? Because I can't find any. I don't know if anyone else, and if you have, please put it in the chat. I would love to know. Can you find anywhere that the CDC has scientifically proven these muzzles work? And what is their link? I had someone post on Facebook that Reuters was their fact check to disprove my stuff. And I was just like, deep breath, deep breath. It's okay. Because like, another thing I want y'all to hold in mind, because people are going to be attacking you verbally, probably. People are going to probably, like people attack me all the time, especially on social media, sitting behind their computers, all safe and stuff. Okay, whatever. And they're vile, man. I have seen, and it really, that's probably, I think, what hurt me the most. It wasn't their words, I could care less. But it's the fact that people were so vile in my home. In response to me trying to say, hey, y'all, did you know you and your children are protected? You're, impeding on us. You're trying to kill us. Da, da, da. No, actually, you're just misinformed, because if you can show me science, like legit science, not Fauci says. Sorry, I have such an issue with it. In case you couldn't tell. Real science. Give me research journals. Give me facts. Give me something I can sink my teeth into. Because until you can provide me of something of substance, My research trumps yours. And don't worry, y'all, the links are in the description. If you're just catching on, everything I talk about, the links are in the description. So you're not just like flying blind, and I'm not just, blowing smoke up your tail end. Like, these are things. And please, y'all, please research what I'm talking about. Please go through it. Yes, the journals were time consuming, I'll be honest, I didn't read all of them. I read like the majority of them, but I think there was like 2, maybe 3 left that I didn't read. Not gonna lie, because this shit's extensive, right? We're busy, we got lives. And so, but do read into some of them, understand the facts, understand the conclusions and how the studies work, right? Next, when they likely won't respond to you, okay, because he didn't respond, Mr. Brent didn't respond until I reached back out. So it was 2 weeks later, because it was a week. They went on spring break, and then I emailed that morning. Was like, hey, I still haven't heard anything. Please provide me with evidence, right? And I provided the link to the NIH. Oh, y'all, this link is in there. It's an amazing, amazing interview. Y'all, this woman is just like, whoo, her intelligence and just her accolades, everything is amazing. This is something that, this is a link, but this right here is the interview that she's a medical doctor. She's just highly renowned, and she provides a doctor's perspective, a medical professional's perspective on everything from the V, because I know people were talking about, oh my gosh, the mandates, y'all, that is illegal. And if you go back to Nazi Germany, because the Nuremberg Code is how all of that came out, the physicians were like, oh, but we were, experimenting and blah, blah, blah. And that went back to the autonomy, right? Because for me, Nuremberg Code and everything else that you cannot scientifically prove has been proven, a track history. So then again, we're falling into the experiment, because if you cannot prove there's a statistical research backed history that says this works and has logical rationale to your actions, okay, you cannot experiment on me. That also means they cannot refuse you to shop in your grocery stores, deny you access to food. They cannot deny you access to a publicly funded education. Any business, even if they say they're privately owned, if they are a legally registered business, which if they're not, like, that's a whole other thing. You can hem them up and all kinds of stuff. That's a whole nother topic. We're not dabbling in that. If they are a public, or if they're a business, right, a legally registered business, they are a public entity, right? They have a public service, right? Because even like nonprofits, right, they still serve something, like they're serving a community. They have a service-based, you don't just sit there and just take in money just for, the board members, right? Like, you are a public servant, okay? Schools, grocery stores, wherever it is, these are a public entity. And you, by your constitutionally, federally backed rights, have access to this. You cannot be denied. That's where the discrimination comes into. And that's, our principal seems pretty hip to it. I'm like certain she understands where this is going. And, and it's honestly, it's incredibly easy. And that's the links to the lawsuits and like how to do all that stuff and be able to find for your state. Here in Texas, we have some really great resources. And so it depends on your state, right? And so here's the different things you can file. Again, this link is in the description here, right? So this is more of like the employment aspects of it, but there was, so this is relating to that, okay? But I just liked how this was the beautiful description of exactly where I'm at with my children's school over the last course of this week. Oh yeah, so the superintendent replied this fluff piece basically of like, well, we're being concerned over our immunocompromised. And I had been asking in the emails, I said, what are your dates? What are your timelines? What is your rationale? Like, give me your numbers, give me your research, all of it, right? And so still nothing, right? And I emailed him like that morning, immediate response, because he emailed at me at night, first thing the next morning. And I said, okay, where's your science back? Where, going in. And I attached the research journals. I didn't attach research journals that time. I attached something, I forget what now, but I basically asked again, where is your science? Where is your rationale? Where is all of this stuff? Nothing. So then Friday morning, I sent out another email, and that's when I put them on notice, because you're ignoring me. And I know why you're ignoring me, because you can't prove with research, science-backed information that has a shown track record to be effective, safe, Logical, fuck. Like you're just destroying our kids' psycho, like just the psyche. Okay. One of my friends, her family, just the other day, her teenage daughter had strep, but she spiked a fever. All of a sudden, like the mom, I guess, was talking about like basically being on the verge of a total like breakdown, right? Go to the ER and stuff. She gets tested for the V, and V is negative, or the 19 is negative. The flu is negative. Kiddo was positive for strep. And I guess like the mom like just totally broke down and was just like this complete mess. And she had the conscious awareness, however, which I thought was awesome, that she's like, oh my gosh, all of these negative subliminal messages, fear, death. Like how many news agencies kept the little tracker while Mr. T was actively POTUS, right? How many trackers? This is how many dead. Except then you came out with your revised numbers, and actually it's a lot less than you lied about the numbers, CDC. Who's talking about that? Not a lot of people want to know about that, because then you have people who are so deeply conditioned into this is going to kill everybody. Well, no. However, some of the comorbidities like obesity, hypertension, diabetes, did you know that those are actually majority of the time they can be either heavily regulated or even completely resolved through diet and a healthy lifestyle? That's not every single case 100%. I understand. But a healthy lifestyle and is definitely going to help those for sure. How come Krispy Kreme Donuts was like, hey, bring us your pass or your little thing and we'll give it to you? Gluten and sugar, possibly high fructose corn syrup as a reward for your V. Really? So they're pushing in a completely unhealthy lifestyle, making it out to be like, it's this big killer. Well, no, not really. Because that was something else I brought up in my email. And I said, you're so concerned with these immunocompromised. I said, what did they do during the normal flu season before all of this? Guarantee they didn't do anything. Why? Because while they possibly got a flu vaccine, okay, they still realize that the risk is not that high for them to actually die from. And if they're that immunocompromised, you need to make a bigger shift in maybe a public school system, because I love kids. They're amazing, but they are germ factories. And I'm talking about you could have, like E. coli and stuff, like just kids are germ factories. You want to be able to actually mitigate not just the flu and all that stuff, but just normal health. Have the babies wash their hands as soon as they get to school, before they have snack and lunch, and before they leave school. Y'all, like, if we just did that, just on a regular basis, we would cut like so many things out. It's not even funny. People don't even think about that though, because they have been so deeply subliminally conditioned into thinking, oh, fear, count, oh my gosh, right? But that's part of this whole agenda. See how this is all tying back into our freedoms? This executive order, oh my God, the amount of executive orders Pedo Joe signed when he took office. Illegally, mind you, but the Pedo administration is single-handedly destroying our country. And even if school board isn't your thing, do get involved. Please, y'all, for the love of Jesus, get involved with something in your community. Your sheriffs, your local elections, your mayors, school board, whatever it is, please get involved. Because if you have not been paying attention, our country is actively trying to be destroyed from us. They're literally trying to pass another EO where the police don't even have to ask your consent to be able to take your weapons. That's terrifying. I have a CHL. I have a background check. I have a clean background, and you're going to threaten my ability to take my weapons? No. Just no. Not happening. We don't stay on top of it, though. There's other stuff that is being passed in other states right now where they're trying to say our children 11 and up are able to consent to puberty blockers, vaccines, right? That we may not want them to have, i.e. the C-19 vaccine, experimental nonsense. There's a lot of things, and you stay active on it too and keeping up with it, because, and that's where we're going to be sharing different stuff too in that group, different things that are popping up that people may not be aware of, because we can email our representatives. Each of us, wherever we're at in America, we have representatives. And if you go to your state, you can, like Texas state representatives, search, right? They almost always have, and you can email them and say, hey, and watch what they do. Watch what these people vote for and how they vote, because then if you realize they are not having the best interest of your community, you can start advocating in your community locally to say, hey, this election is coming up. Vote this guy out or girl, woman out because they did this, right? And start communicating, start connecting, and this all goes back, right? Meeting up with each other, connecting, organizing your meetings, getting yourself together, and to where you're presenting the evidence to the school board and come together, because when you start showing up in numbers, they're going to start backing down, and they might try to push. And this is why it's so important. Me and my babies have been having that conversation where talking about what their rights are. Okay, let's get over to that. I got so many tabs. Like these are all the links to in there. So like I have so many tabs open. Oh, this is the Texas State Department. While we're on this really quick. So here, obviously I'm in Williamson County, right? Texas Department of State Health Services. It's hilarious because after our governor dropped the mask mandate, it's funny how so many cases are still rapidly dropping. Even after spring break, which was 2 weeks ago here for Williamson County, we're still dropping. Weird. I digress. So there's a lot of great stuff. If you're in Texas, you can do like these different dashboards. That's what I have up here. And so this is like statewide. Oh, and that was another resource I have. Shoot, I hope I put that in there. If not, I'll go back and adjust it. There was the, well, you guys could probably find it too. It was published on January 20th of 2021. The World Health Organization came out with an article that stated that their cycles for the C19 test, the amount of cycles was too sensitive. So it went from 40 cycles that it was run to check to see if the contagion or whatever it is they're measuring is there, right, down to 20 by half. I don't know about y'all, but I know a handful of people who've had false positives, and because they had to get tested for, different events or whatever. And they got told, yeah, we're positive. And then a couple days later, they were told, oh, it was a mistake. My question was, okay, so you've got this happening. What happened to that original number of cases? Was that actually redacted at ever? Right? They've got all these high numbers. How many people actually have no symptoms? Don't even know. Oh, this is another rabbit hole I encourage y'all to go down. Link is in the description. I was trying to find a totally different tab. Y'all remember the CARES Act, right? That Mr. T signed last March, I think it was. Yeah, March 27th, 2020. It was officially signed into public law. The CARES Act. Oh, there we go. It was right in front of my face. Can you read what that says? Representative Joe Courtney, Democrat from Connecticut, 2nd District, introduced on January 24th, 2019. We're on Congress.gov, and yes, that link is in below. Look at this, 2019 to 2020. That's interesting. Y'all, does that make sense that a House bill that Mr. T signed into that had to deal with the C19 CARES Act that was giving relief, paid employees, healthcare, all of that stuff? Huh. No, you didn't read that wrong. That says January 24th, 2019. Ask yourself why. Yeah, the deaths, absolutely. The number of deaths is just like, one thing that I did hear, and I believe in this article, it talks about, I'm trying to remember where I heard it specifically, but it was talking about vitamin D deficiencies. Out of the few people that were healthy that did pass, it was like 6% of the total that were healthy had no known comorbidities that have been proven, right? And mind you, too, if you look at those, there's 4 of them. It's the hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and there's one more I'm totally blanking on right now. There's 4 of them that actually are increasing deaths for like a multitude of other factors. Like that's the demographic. So going back to having a healthier lifestyle, right? A cleaner, get rid of the processed sugars, get rid of the processed foods, all of that stuff, just a cleaner lifestyle. And they're pushing Krispy Kreme donuts for all the people who got the V. And all the people I was watching, like posting pictures, they were all overweight and obese. So you have to wonder, like, just how all of this is tied in, because it's way bigger than just our kids, right? So much bigger. So this is in there. All right, so to break it down really quick, the strategy. So first, you email the individuals or show up at the school board meetings. If your school board meeting is not about to happen like in a couple days, you need to email and start reaching out, right? Start getting this track record. Initially reach out, ask what their logic and scientific research that proves that this is practical, safe, whatever, because this still applies to, even if you're in a state where your governor may not have lifted it, right? You're still protected. This is federal law. You are protected. And so state your questions like why, right? And this is same thing you can do with your employer. These are similar tactics as well, because all of these meet that same criteria should you need to do that. What is it, this lawsuit? Yeah, so this is the equal opportunity, right? So we've got the equal opportunity. We've got the ADA. If you do have a disability, right, you absolutely are protected under these federal laws. You cannot be discriminated. So this is about civil rights, and these are your civil rights. So this is dealing with a report. Again, the link is in there as well. Play on this website a little bit, because when you ask, right, what their scientific logic and all the things, right, in a brief, informative, factual, friendly, feel free to use my links. Feel free to use the research. I put it all in the description for y'all. You're probably going to be ignored. And that's where you got to kind of determine how much time is okay for, like, will you accept before you reach out again? Me, I said about a week. That's what I said. I was like, okay, because I had done all the board of trustees, I had done the superintendent, and I had done the principal. The only person who reached out, oh, that's good to know. One of our amazing people on the chat was talking about the doctors won't even sign the exemption because they're scared. So yeah, because that was one of the things the principal was saying. She's like, well, can you get a medical exemption? And I said, ma'am, my children shouldn't need a medical exemption to have their constitutional rights be enacted, for them to be able to breathe freely without restriction for something that no one can scientifically prove to me actually works. But rather, I'm finding significant evidence that actually states that it's harmful. Because every single one of them will absolutely be, because you go after them personally. It's a personal lawsuit, and I'll get into that in a minute. And because I literally stated that, that's the final end of it. So you decide how many days, right? I said 5 or a week. Technically, it was 2 weeks between the initial, because they had a week, then they went on spring break. Still hadn't heard anything, but the principal called me, and we had a really good, and that's, if you do get a response, this is where you need to be ready to be able to negotiate, right? Because 100% immediately, you can't go in there pounding your chest, just expecting everyone to obey and snap to, right? Because if the roles were reversed, how would you feel about that? Likely feel pretty confident saying majority of the people watching this are probably going to be a little bit defensive, a bit on edge, and just start to shut down and not listen, because now you're on defense, right? Whereas if you give them an opportunity, again, you have a more solid case for your lawsuit should it get to that point, but you're also giving them an opportunity to say, hey, okay, you want to keep this mandate on, show me, give me some information. Maybe I'm missing something. One thing my kids' principal, told me was that she said, my biggest concern is for whatever staff members want to get the vaccine, that they're able to get it and get both doses. And I said, okay, you know what? I think that's logical. People are scared, okay? And you want to be able to give your teachers a chance to be protected. I said, okay, well, what's the time frame? Key. Time frames are key. Realistic, but that's where you're able to define your firm boundaries, because that's going to be your jump off points to your next step, right? She told me the week after spring break, our employees, all of our staff who wants to be vaccinated will have had the second round. And I said, okay, so that's this last week. Fair. I don't like, I'm still upset about all of this. And there's different things, especially with like the physical education. But I was like, okay, I'll compromise with that. Right. So I still didn't hear anything from Mr. Brent, superintendent, or the student trustees or whatever, the student school board trustees, right? Still didn't hear anything from them, not a peep. So I reached back out and said, hey, I'm still waiting, and basically confirmed, where's your research? Where's your logic? Where's your rationale? Okay. Sent me back this fluff piece that it was super vague and basically was just like, we're looking out for the immunocompromised, right? Please continue to reach out and have an open line of communication. I sent an immediate back and I said, you are not giving me timelines. And I basically was going in on, what are your timelines? What about the cases, and just really kind of getting my thoughts together and constructively asking these questions, because these these muzzles, and that's why I call them muzzles, is when you are trying to suppress someone, they are naturally more likely to withdraw and not want to fight when they have a subconscious block to their ability to speak. So I was asking y'all earlier, put your hand over your mouth and check in with how you feel. Because I don't know about y'all, me personally, I just naturally want to like kind of cave in. I naturally want to feel smaller. I naturally want to just like, I feel vulnerable. I feel like negative. I have this negative energy towards, like, I'm feeling it just by simply doing that. Because the subconscious registers our external environment and how we perceive it. Well, here's the problem. When we've had these repeated micro traumas, it literally changes our behavior. It changes our ability to think and critically. It changes everything about us. And doing this stuff over time completely re-changes all of our stuff. This is psychological warfare. And especially if you understand, if you're, all of the different things going on with why I even call them the pedo administration, right? If you know about all of that stuff, you'll see how all of this is intertwined, because they are literally trying to silence us. Because they know when we stand together, united as a united front, we are so strong, they will back down. They have to back down. Because when you've got 30 parents going forward with a lawsuit over each person individually, that says a big thing, because you can do this yourself, right? Because if they ignore you and they still don't want to do it, or they won't give you timeframes, or they're like, oh, well, this is the thing that got me in his subliminal language on his March 5th, we're only 11 weeks out from the end of school. And I was like, only? Wow, that sure sounds like you're trying to manipulate it and put it into our minds that, oh, well, it's only 11 more weeks of being muzzles where we can't breathe. Y'all, I hadn't even like put a mask on in forever. And I literally put one on over my mouth because then I dropped it because I was walking into the doctor's office. I put it underneath my chin. And literally for like those few seconds, I took, a couple of deep breaths before I like shifted it down because I was grabbing my stuff or whatever. And I was like, before I dropped it, I was like, man, what is going on? I was like, I feel like I can't breathe. And I like dropped and I was like, just thinking like, I don't know how many of y'all wear muzzles. I don't wear them. I haven't worn them for months here in Texas. And yes, I've been yelled at, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute too. But it's insane, right? And so let me get back to this, go to the documents. Where is that tab? Oh yeah, I totally got off on that. Sorry. Told you I do squirrel out a little bit. So there's these different things. I have the one for my children printed out. This is the civil rights. Please look them up. I printed this out myself for my kids. All of this stuff is free, but this goes into, and this is what I did include as well in that final email when I put them on notice. I told them basically that I still am not, I reiterated that I have still not received all of this information that I've been requesting. I recapped everything that I had been requesting. I said, you cannot give me a direct answer, all of this stuff, right? I laid it all out. And then, so that's when I said, I am putting every single, and I clarified it. I said, the superintendent, school board of trustees, my children's school staff, transport, anyone that has direct contact with my child is being put on notice, and broke down these federal civil rights, right? That's where if you have to come up with I think it's this one, the civil rights lawsuit, right? Go back to the Department of Justice, right? The link is in below, civilrightsjustice.com. This is one of the ways you can do it, as well as in your local government, because that is where you will take it to the small claims court. It's a personal lawsuit of discrimination. And obviously all the courts are different regardless of what state you're in. Here you got like Texas Law Help, and it's actually really easy to file. And if you're tight on cash, please don't let the filing fee scare you, because if you are tight on cash, or even if you're not, you can still fill out the waiver, because then it'll at least delay any processing payment you might have. And the court will look at it and determine should you pay for the fee or not as for the filing fee. So fill out the paperwork anyways, regardless of what your income is, because you may not have to pay the filing fee. You can go after them and go for a lawsuit, right? And literally, you guys, we can look up. Oh, boom. 15 steps with pictures. There you go. It's literally just that simple to be able to put all of this stuff together. I mean, it's just about, yeah, see right here, you don't have to hire an attorney. It's literally super, super easy. And I mean, it's really not a big deal. So that if you have to go forward with it is how you're going to end up. But so you want to go initially asking questions, determine your time frame for when you accept the response, follow up with that response, or if they do reach out, stand firm with clear defined timelines, clear defined boundaries, that and do take it reasonable. Because when I spoke to the principal Friday afternoon, this last Friday, because I said come this Monday, and the reason I chose Monday was because I felt that her request to have all of her staff who wanted the V to be able to be vaccinated, okay, valid. And I did clarify, this is why this specific date, because she responded and had a constructive conversation and broke these things down. So I'm defining boundaries, I'm defining dates, I'm defining stipulations of what I'm expecting, clearly and defined, okay? And so that's when I told them, I said, every single one of you is being put on notice for violating my children's civil rights that they are federally protected under. And I, of course, listed it all out. And then that's when I attached the research journals in the link. It talks about it. So scroll through them. It's amazing. Okay. So that's where we enter into that. And there is different things in here, y'all. So like to businesses. So before Abbott removed the mask mandate, I have not been wearing a muzzle since probably December. I think it was when I was like, I'm done. I am finding more and more evidence that says this doesn't work. I'm done. And, I remember I did not prepare my 8-year-old, well, he was 8 at the time, my 8-year-old, he was with me, we were going into Walmart and we're not wearing muzzles. And we walked in and we started getting yelled at. Can't shop in here, ma'am, stop, all the things, right? Even my kid was like trying to get me to like grabbing onto me, was like, no, stop, mom, like you can't go in there, you can't. And I just put my hand on his back and I said, no, baby, we can, and just said, come on, and just pushed him along, right? I prepared my children thereafter because I didn't even think I was going to have to prepare them. However, if they follow you and try to prohibit you, okay, ideally, if you are in a state or an area that is really trying to amp it up, make sure you have those civil rights printed out with you, right? Put it in your wallet or whatever it is you care. Because when you have those written out, you can actually go and make sure you're getting the names of everyone who's harassing you, anyone, especially if they put their hands on you, because now you can start turning things into assault and you can absolutely go after them, because no one has a right to put your hand on you. If you are not a threat, okay, you're not trying to hurt nobody, you're just trying to live. If you're not a threat or an immediate danger, they do not have the rights to violate, or the right to violate your civil, federally backed rights, okay? We are protected as American citizens. And yes, they'll try to buffalo and say, oh, you can't do this. Okay. And just keep walking. Just mind your business, right? Who cares? And I know it's like, and that's why I was laughing. I was like, all these people are going to be like throwing a tantrum like my 2-year-old was earlier, just like, ah! Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You're going to get through it, okay? Refrain from arguing. If anyone starts even harassing you or anything, get your phone out, hit record, okay? Get the name on video because that's going to help you should you have to do any sort of assault case or however that may look. Video is gold. So do that. That is absolutely vital. And ideally, too, I know that there were some of the groups going on and talking about how they are going into stores. Basically, like they'll coordinate, hey, we're going to do a shopping spree at whatever store at this time, right? And you guys will all meet up for who wants to go grocery shopping that day. And you guys will all go in within a couple minutes of each other to basically flood the store as much as possible with unmuzzled people, right? Because then it starts making it harder. And if people are causing confrontation, someone's yelling at, a customer or whatever, and you walk on by with your non-muzzled face, they're going to, it's just, you start getting into their psyche, and it's pretty awesome because what they're trying to do to us, we can reverse it back onto them and show them, no, you don't get to step on our rights. It's not how this works, okay? Very passionate about this. I'm trying so hard to stay calm and get through this because my full mama bear mode is full on out. I want to go after people and that's even when my principal, and that's where it comes into that negotiation, right? Because I negotiated that, okay, my kids will, oh no, my children are not being muzzled. As of Monday, March 29th at Williams Elementary in Georgetown, Texas, my kids will not be muzzled. They will not be muzzled on the transport and they will not be muzzled at school. We came to an agreement that they will be set aside, even though it is discriminatory. And I did remind her that that is a version of discrimination. Because she said, we'll pull them aside. The teachers will be able to do the remote learning with them. They'll still get all the services. My son does have disabilities. They'll still get all their services. And I said, okay, I'm agreeing to that because he will have the 3 days my kids are in school, the 2 days they're off. That is 5 working days to get with me because he is trying to hide. He can't provide the evidence. He can't, and he knows his argument has no merit. And that I am 1000% well within my rights to institute this without discrimination. I have given you an opportunity to express yourself. I have opened up and said, please help me understand more as to how you got to this. Please provide me some science and feedback. Please help me understand how you got to this being a good idea. Oh, it's the governor. Oh, it's the education, whatever. No. That doesn't supersede, and it states, that verbiage does state in our civil rights, you may not be discriminated against, right? Let's look at that again. Let's go through this because I love how she put this together. Again, these documents and stuff are free, right? This is talking about the denial of my service violates several federal laws, which it does. Participation. That's where I reminded her, I said, that is discriminating against my children from being able to equally participate in their school day. Individually assessed as a direct threat. You may not exclude me from the same and equal services. This really applies to all of it, whether it's a store, work, school, whatever it is. It all does apply because talking about that they must still provide the child to be able to have in the cafeteria, wherever they normally eat, nothing out of the norm for them, right? This business is prohibited from the unlawful discrimination. That's where your civil rights lawsuit comes into effect. We give them time to explain. We seek another thing, and you can even put, if they still won't respond by that second email, say, if I don't hear with a logical, scientifically proven, rational solution or reasoning, right, in 5 business days, you're going to be put on notice and you will no longer be violating my children's rights. Now, I know this takes a lot of work. I know this is burdensome. Y'all, I feel that, trying to just raise kids and work and, just do all the things, right? It is, we're busy. Families are busy. I get it. But the problem is, if we don't put in this work, and that might mean you have to pursue a lawsuit. So you do need to be prepared that you're going to possibly have to take off time from work. And if you're saying, oh man, that's a big deal, I don't know if I can do it. What will happen if your children lose their rights to be able to live in a free and fair country where they're allowed to express bodily autonomy, where they're allowed to be able to make the decision that is right for them, that your child is not at age 11, is not given the opportunity to go through puberty blockers because transgenderism is the coolest new thing. Yeah, okay. While trans people do in fact exist, not saying that doesn't actually happen, how it looks when it develops developmentally, if you go and like actually do the research of how, and the majority of it is actually linked to trauma for why they feel they need to alter, right? Very few cases are truly transgender, not trauma related somehow, or a fad is what I've seen so much that it is a fad. And it's terrifying. These babies don't know, like I heard some years ago, the best way to describe a child aged 13 to 17 is an adult schizophrenic off their medication, right? Things don't make sense. They don't align. Their brains are all like all over the place. And if you have raised teenagers or have teenagers or even preteens, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy because they just don't understand. Their brains aren't developed. Okay. That was another thing I started asking in that last email, or the second to last email. I said, in the Texas agency, I was like, it even states ages 10 and under, and then revision 1, the March 12th, that they're not mandated. And that was talking about, as well as like, people who are not developed, it's not developmentally appropriate. And then I was asking, I said, well, what exactly is developmentally appropriate? Do these babies know how these muzzles work? Do they know the psychological aspects that are being done to them subliminally and conditioning in a negative way that is detrimental to their overall well-being through their formative years? These years that are developing their core aspects of their being and how they travel into adulthood, and as they form and step into their own being of whatever they were created, that mindset, that perception, did you know you're negatively impacting that? And you are causing harm to my child, our babies, my community, right? We're all of our babies. You are doing harm to our children, saying it's safe. No, it's not. And you can't prove it. Because while it may feel uncomfortable, and I get that because I'm not a combative person either, I'm like, I'm a healer, y'all. We got like a therapy ranch out here and everything else. Like, that's my thing. Like, that's my gig. I don't want to have to be dealing with this. I don't like confrontation. But the thing is if we don't stand now and get through that uncomfortable feeling of what it takes to have a tough conversation with people because they're totally trampling on our rights that are constitutionally given to us, like we're Americans, we are entitled to these rights, basic rights. I'm not asking for anything crazy, basic rights to be able to have autonomy over my body, to not be discriminated against because I exist and we have a differencing of opinion of how valid a muzzle is. You can't prove to me it works, so sorry, I don't know what to tell you, right? I hope this is helping y'all. I hope you guys are able to take this and use it. Get on the Telegram group, because we haven't had an issue since so far. Knock on all things, good luck. We haven't had an issue since, so we should hopefully be staying the same, right? To where we can still connect, being able to find each other, just because there is a lot of shadow ban going on. I do like that y'all have already started the unmasking groups, which is super awesome to find. But I hope this is helping y'all. If you guys have questions, same argument with abortions. I could seriously go on about that. When they passed a law that said a mother may terminate the pregnancy in the form of an abortion up until the day before her due date. Does that make sense? How is that an abortion when you can deliver a fully viable child at 37 weeks that has no health problems? How's that an abortion? And then what happens to the baby? That's a whole other rabbit hole. If y'all haven't gone down to, or you're wondering what the living heck I am talking about, I encourage you to hop on the other Telegram channel, because that's a whole other can of worms that is just, it absolutely is murder. 1,000% it's murder. But that's my question is like, what happens to the baby? Did they actually kill it, or are they doing something else with it? Because I have a lot of evidence that shows they're doing some really sick shit with these babies. Like, it makes my stomach turn just thinking about it. If you're not in tune with that, please get on my Telegram and go all the way up to the top, because I've got history in there. We've got all kinds of information, and it's pretty bad, y'all. So FYI. I hope y'all, Jesus, right? Oh, that's not, they don't just do the storage room to let it die by itself. There's a lot deeper to that. Yeah, and Sarah's saying, for those who don't know, just research what adrenochrome is. Research the patent. Oh, I forgot to put the patent from COVID-19 that was developed in 2003. Forgot to put that patent in there, but I'll have to redo some stuff on the descriptions, because that's important that you know about that. You know about the adrenochrome patent. And if you're, that's conspiracy theory. Okay. I challenge every one of you to look up what Google's GPU, the graphics processor unit for their Google Chrome interface. Okay. Look up what that is called, and then pair it with Chrome, and then look up what adrenochrome is. Look up what that patent talks about and how it's formulated. Oh, that's my baby. Hi, come here. I hate that. It's my little one that was screaming earlier with all his beautiful fury.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, Mom. You mean me?
No, not you, the baby.
Oh, you heard him screaming outside?
Yeah. Give me a minute. I'll be right there.
No, that was me.
Okay.
I fell off the trampoline. I was bouncing.
Okay. Hey, I'll be right there in a minute. Give me a second. Obviously, you're fine. Yeah, look up that stuff. If you guys don't know about it, I highly encourage you to research and to dig, because it's really important, y'all. So I hope you guys find this informative. My information is in there, my email and stuff too, if you guys are interested in it. If you guys have questions that you don't want to maybe put on the Telegram channel, that's totally fine. Let's talk about it. Whatever questions, whatever help you guys need, let me know. The owner of that patent to the CDC. Oh, I didn't know that. That is interesting, Sarah. See? Finding out new stuff all the time. I hope you guys are able to use this, and until next time.